The pounding on my door at exactly 2:07 a.m. didn't sound like a mistake. It wasn't hesitant or apologetic. It was sharp, aggressive, the kind of knock that carries authority and urgency, the kind that makes your pulse spike before your eyes even open. But I wasn't asleep. I had been sitting in the dark for hours, watching, waiting, tracking every movement through my security feeds. I knew this moment was coming. When the doorbell rang again and a voice shouted for me to open up, I calmly shut my laptop, slid it into a hidden compartment behind the bookshelf, and stood up without rushing. Panic had never served me well, and I had survived too much in life to let it take control now. When I opened the door, two uniformed officers stood under the porch light, their expressions serious and unyielding. Behind them, a patrol car idled silently, its lights casting flashes across the driveway. And just beyond them stood my wife, Simone, wrapped in a silk robe I had given her on our anniversary. Her face looked shattered, tears streaking down perfectly applied makeup, her body trembling like she might collapse at any second. Anyone else would have believed her performance completely. I almost admired it. Almost. One of the officers stepped forward and addressed me by name, his tone firm as he began listing charges: fraud, embezzlement, theft. The words hung in the air like a script that had been rehearsed too many times. I barely listened. My attention was fixed on Simone. She dabbed her eyes with the tissue she had ready before the scene even began, leaned against the railing for effect, and then, for just a fraction of a second, looked directly at me. In that brief glance, her grief disappeared, replaced by something else entirely: satisfaction, victory. Then the mask snapped back into place. I let them cuff me. The metal felt cold, but not unfamiliar. I had worn handcuffs before, in far worse situations, surrounded by men who would have killed me without hesitation. This was almost nostalgic. Simone rushed forward, her voice trembling as she apologized, claiming she hadn't wanted to believe the evidence. She spoke about our children, about betrayal, about heartbreak. It was a flawless performance, the kind that could win sympathy from anyone watching. I simply told her to take care of the kids and walked to the patrol car without resistance. As we drove away, I looked back at the house. She stood on the porch, hand covering her mouth in shock. But when she thought no one was watching, she smiled. It was small, quick, but unmistakable. She believed she had destroyed me. She believed she had won. What she didn't know was that everything was going exactly as I had planned.
The ride to the station was quiet, giving me time to mentally review the last 3 months. Every recording, every photograph, every document I had collected. I had spent weeks building a case so precise, so airtight, that there would be no way out for her or the people she worked with. I needed this arrest to happen. I needed it on record, processed through official systems, documented beyond dispute. Most importantly, I needed Simone to feel safe, confident, untouchable. Because that's when people make mistakes. At the station, things started normally. I handed over my belongings, answered routine questions, and sat quietly while the officer entered my information into the system. He looked bored at first, like I was just another white-collar criminal caught doing something stupid. But then his expression changed. Confusion came first, followed by surprise, and then something deeper: fear. He stared at the screen like it had just revealed something impossible. His hands hovered over the keyboard, then slowly pulled away. He checked again, typed something else, and leaned closer. I could see the exact moment it registered fully. He picked up his phone and called his superior, his voice tense as he insisted they come down immediately. Within minutes, I was no longer just a suspect. I was escorted to a private room, offered coffee, and treated with a level of caution that hadn't existed 10 minutes earlier. When the captain arrived, he looked at me like I wasn't supposed to exist. He explained that according to their system, I had no record, no history, nothing. But my fingerprints had triggered a classified alert that placed me far outside their jurisdiction. Before he could ask more questions, another man entered the room. Tall, composed, wearing authority like a second skin. The kind of presence that shifts the air when he walks in. Everyone else left immediately. He sat down across from me and spoke my name like it meant something different than what was written on paper. Not the name I had used for years, but the one tied to a past I had buried. He didn't need introductions, and neither did I.
I explained everything: how my wife had been having an affair for years, how she discovered money she didn't understand, how she assumed it was stolen and decided to use it against me. With the help of her lover and a corrupt attorney, she built a case designed to destroy me completely. What she didn't know was that I had discovered her plan months earlier. And instead of confronting her, I did what I had been trained to do my entire life. I observed. I recorded. I built a counter-operation so thorough that when the truth came out, it would crush them entirely. By dawn, federal agents were at my house. They recovered everything exactly where I had left it. The recordings, the documents, the surveillance. And in her own office, they found the forged evidence she had used against me, neatly stored and touched, like trophies she thought she would never have to hide. By sunrise, she was in handcuffs. Her lover was arrested shortly after, and the attorney who helped them was taken in before the morning was over. What they thought was the perfect plan had collapsed in less than 6 hours. When I returned home later that morning, the house was quiet. My children were still asleep, unaware of how much their lives had just changed. I stood in their doorways for a long time, watching them breathe, realizing that everything I had done wasn't about revenge. It wasn't even about justice in the way people usually think about it. It was about them. The trials took a year. The evidence left no room for doubt. Her lover pleaded guilty almost immediately. The attorney tried to fight, but failed. And my wife. She held on the longest, refusing to accept reality until the recordings of her own voice played in court. The jury didn't need much time after that. When the verdict was read, she looked at me with desperation instead of confidence. She asked me to take care of the children. I told her I would, and then I walked away without looking back. Explaining everything to my kids was harder than anything I had ever faced. I kept it simple, told them their mother had made choices that hurt people, and now she had to face the consequences. My daughter asked if I was okay. My son just held onto me like he used to when he was little. In that moment, nothing else mattered. Life after that became something new, something real. I stayed home more, built routines, became the father I should have been all along. No secrets, no disappearing for weeks. Just breakfast in the mornings, school runs, and being present in ways I never had been before. Sometimes, late at night, I think about Simone. Not with anger anymore, but with a kind of distant clarity. She made a choice. She thought she was playing a game she understood. She thought she had control. She was wrong. I let her believe she had won because that was the only way to make sure she lost everything she was trying to take from me. Some people might call that revenge, but to me, it was something much simpler.